Welcome to the Bending the Bracket podcast. Here are your hosts, Ben Madison and Lane Smith.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bending the Bracket. I am your host, Ben Madison, alongside my co-host, Lane Smith, as always. Lane, what's good?
Man, it's been a week. It's been quite a few days, and I got a question coming off the last show. Did you happen to, send that episode to Sean Payton before it was edited?
No, I didn't.
Because it was like the very next morning that he went with Taysom Hill after we both swore he would go with James Winston. So
of course
I'm just wondering if he happened to hear.
He probably heard it and he was like, you know what, these guys are full of shit. We're just going to go ahead and go with it.
Right? Yeah, we're just going to.
That was interesting, but it worked out.
It's very possible that we cost Jameis Winston a starting job.
It wouldn't be the first. Well, maybe it would. I don't know.
Right.
But interesting weekend. And again, our schedule has been so screwed and we're sorry about that. But it's holiday week. So we're coming to you today and we're going to do our recap / preview of week 11, week 12. And Thanksgiving's coming up. And we'll get it all done for you. So we're still going to get back to 2 shows a week. This is going to be like a 1.5 show week, I guess you could say, but we'll make it work.
We'll try to do another one this weekend. Hopefully, I'm going to be out of town, but if we can make something work, we'll try to do that for sure.
We'll get it working. And if he's not dedicated, then I'll do it by myself. I don't care. I mean, the idea that Thanksgiving is going to get in the way of this or something so silly as family, really?
Right. No, right. Who are we?
Gosh. Anyway, I'm joking, obviously. So that was a great weekend of football. That was probably week 2, week 3. That was epic. When
it was better than the schedule looked like it would be.
It was, and all the games that were that had high promise, they delivered, or if not over delivered.
Yeah, they absolutely did.
I mean, you look at Titans, they come back on the Ravens. You look at the Colts and Packers, a classic. Chiefs and Raiders, classic. Rams and Bucks last night, epic. I mean, they were all down to the wire.
For sure.
So let's get into them. So let's start at Tennessee and their comeback win on the Ravens. They beat them in overtime. And this is one that we both kind of like Tennessee going into. But for a moment there, I really thought we had really missed this pick.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Tennessee's a real deal. I got really serious questions on Baltimore. I was not high on Baltimore coming into the season. And then I bought into them after a few games, like, okay, maybe I was wrong. Clearly, this team is not the same team as last year. Lamar Jackson is very limited, and teams have figured him out, and they've learned how to stop him. And if you make him a passing quarterback, you got a really good chance of winning.
Yeah, it's amazing because, as I've said many a times, you had the Ravens are going 16-0 predictors, which were, I think most of us thought were crazy. But I thought they were going to be like last year. I thought they were going to be 14-2, 15-1, maybe 13-3 on the downside. You're the only person literally in the national media and the local media that I heard anywhere say that this Ravens team was going to struggle and that they were going to be, maybe a wild card team, if not possibly missing the playoffs altogether. So I don't know what you saw that none of us saw. You nailed it. And so I'm giving you all your praise for that.
My biggest concern was Lamar Jackson, because to me, he is maybe a slightly better version of Cordell Stewart. And that style of quarterback does not work in today's NFL.
Oh gosh, that's I think he felt that from his house in Baltimore. Cordell Stewart was interesting. He was ahead of his time, but I don't know. I mean, I think he's better than that, and I still think I think he's going to be okay. I think that I'm still higher on him than you, and I think that he's in this, in this after honeymoon phase of winning the MVP last year. Like you said, defenses are figuring him out. So he's really got to reinvent himself. And from here to the last game of the season, the rest of this year is going to tell the tale of him and what he can do.
He's got to figure out, he's got to get his arm strength better, and he's got to learn how to be a throwing quarterback. He needs to, he needs to be more like I'm trying to think of who to relate him to, Justin Herbert, more like that, where Herbert can run. He's got great legs, great speed, but he can also throw the ball downfield.
Well, that's never been his game, though. I mean,
I know
he's the closest thing to Mike Vick that we've seen since Mike Vick.
Yes,
and that's
absolutely.
That's not a bad thing. I mean, Mike Vick was a transcendent talent. He may not be able to throw as well as Mike Vick did, but I think he can get there.
Well, I'm not saying he can't, but I'm saying that right now, what we're seeing right now, if he doesn't figure this out, he's got 5-year career and he's done.
Oh, I think that's harsh. I think he can still be a good starter for a decade, but I think that he's not going to be what people were saying he was going to be. And look, I have my reservations as well. Even during his MVP run last year, I said he's going to have a little bit of a letdown. What has shocked me, though, is that the team as a whole,
they've let him down.
The Harbaugh-led team has had a letdown. Now, they've had a litany of injuries. I'm not going to lie. They have. And so that's where I could say, well, instead of being 14-2, maybe they're 11-5. And of course, no one saw the Steelers sitting at 10-0 at this point, right? So you figured that the Ravens and Steelers may battle it out, but at this point, I would have said, Baltimore is probably going to be 8-2, something like that. They're not terrible,
no,
but at the same time, here we are 2 days, or it's going to be 1 day from Thanksgiving night, where if they lose again to Pittsburgh, they may not make the playoffs if they don't turn it around. They're not going to be able to control their own destiny. They're going to have to rely on other teams to lose, and that's not a place that anyone thought they'd be at this point in the season.
But how big is that game going to be Thursday? Yeah.
It's going to be huge, and I know that Pittsburgh is good. I don't think they're quite as good as their 10-0 record. Maybe it's just that they're kind of up and down and they play to their competition. I'm not taking away the fact that they're great, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Baltimore win this game. They need this game. They may come out and do it. Now, it's not going to surprise me to see them lose either, because, well, it's Pittsburgh. But
right now, let's not get too far into that game yet, because we'll get to it in the previews. But I mean, we keep talking 30 minutes on just that game Thursday.
Oh, sure, we could talk 30 minutes on every game because we never shut up.
Right?
But, yeah. So we'll see. But the Ravens are in a bit of a predicament. So good win for the Titans to close that game. The talk of that game out. Good win for the Titans. They needed that game to hold pace with the Colts in that division. We'll get to that a little bit later as well. If you were Doug Peterson, is it time to think about going to Jalen Hurts?
I really don't know. I think you have to at least be having that conversation. There is no sense in Wentz being out there right now that I can see. I mean, this team's not going anywhere. Wentz is clearly not himself. He is, I don't know what his issues are. He's got a lot to work on. I would pull him. I think I just don't see a reason to keep trotting him out there every week.
I think there's a couple of reasons why they're still so bullish on keeping him as their starter. For one, he's a second overall draft pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they went all in to get him. Two, they've paid him a small fortune before he really did anything to earn it.
Right.
They paid him based on his 2017 tracking to be MVP season before he blew his knee out.
Yep.
I still don't kill them for that move, because clearly he's shown time and time again that he is a transcendent talent at times, but there's just no consistency. And at this point, before in his career, he would play bad, but then he'd come back and he'd roll off 2 or 3 great games. Then he'd play bad.
Yeah.
And they'd find their way into the playoffs, albeit it was usually a 9-7, or it was a bad division, but they were at least competent, and they would at least knock off a couple of these teams that they really shouldn't beat, like Green Bay last year, for example. But right now, they just look terrible. I mean, they can't even pull away. They can hardly compete to hold the lead in this division.
They're a bad team. And I think that maybe part of the reason they're not putting in Hurts or not going to, that I don't believe are going to put in Hurts, is they're scared that Hurts might turn out to be good. And then you got a decision to make.
Oh yeah. You're right about that. And it's really hard to go to the bench and then come back to your starter. It kills them. And especially someone like Wentz, where it's very obvious that he gets in his own head. It's very obvious that he overthinks things. Some people can take that. I don't think he'd be one that could. So it's really a bad situation. And look, they have a murderer's row for a schedule the next month.
Yeah.
They play Green Bay, they play New Orleans, they play Arizona, and they play I don't remember who else they play. Seattle. Seattle. I don't know what order that is. That's off the top of my head, but
they're very, very easily could be 0-4.
Oh, very easily. And then you look at them and all of a sudden they're 3-10-1.
Yeah.
And while this division is a joke, you somehow have all four teams alive. You have Dallas, Washington, and the Giants all at 3-7. So theoretically, they're all a half game behind Philadelphia. As we've discussed, I believe this Giants team is in the best trajectory to win that division, but I don't see Philly winning this division anymore. I really don't.
No, they're not. And I don't know. I think everybody in this division has a pretty tough schedule over the next month. So
I was looking at it earlier today, and the team that has the easiest path remaining is Dallas. They have the second easiest schedule in the league.
Of course.
The Giants, I want to say, have the 22nd easiest. All the other ones are like 22nd and above. So they all have really tough schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas has got most of their tough games out of the way. So who knows? I mean, on paper, they should win more games than the rest of them. But do you trust that? No.
No, not this Dallas team.
I still like the Giants, but the Giants have a few more tough games to go. But we'll get into that division later.
Yeah.
To finish this game out, I still don't like the Browns. They can be 7-3. They're 7-3. I don't feel any better about them at 7-3 than I did when they were 2-1.
Right. This game, I realized something when I saw this game is the Browns. They continue to win these games, and you always feel like it's never because of Baker Mayfield. Baker is just kind of there.
Exactly. There's going to be a time.
Yeah.
If they get in the playoffs, and they very well may be a wild card team, there's zero chance. I mean, you can mark this down. You can cut this segment out. There is zero chance that they're going to be a serious playoff threat with Baker Mayfield.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, that's
so it's kind of like, why even talk about them? I mean, they're going to get, because they've already got crushed by Pittsburgh. They've already got crushed by Baltimore. Kansas City would roll them. So all the real contenders in the AFC would just destroy them. I mean, the Raiders have already beat them. I mean, they're not really anything.
I think I like to talk about them because Cleveland, in a sense, is a good story because they have been such a just terrible franchise for so long. And now they're in line to be 10-6, 11-5. That's, for me, that's exciting to talk about, just seeing where they've come from.
It is, but at the same time, I don't think they've really solved a lot of issues compared to where they were. I don't want to say it that way, but they still have a really serious issue to deal with at quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do there.
You can't, I mean, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money because he's a first round pick and quarterbacks are getting paid a lot of money. But he's not your guy. He's the weak link on this team now. I mean, he really is. If they have to get into a shootout for any reason, they have no shot.
I mean, I agree. They don't have a shot. I mean, this is, and I don't know what they're going to do with Baker. I think you have to sign him. I don't think they have any choice. Now they have finally figured out the coaching. They've got the right coach.
Oh, the coach is fantastic. I mean, Stefanski is really on the short list of coaches of the year so far.
Yes, absolutely. And so I think that you figured that out. But I don't know. They're kind of trapped with the quarterback because they're not going to have a high draft pick. And I mean, outside of trading Beckham, I don't know who you're going to trade to go get a stud quarterback that can do any better.
And you wouldn't get enough for him anyway. I mean, the way all these young receivers are hitting, like we talked about, you're not going to get anything for him. You couldn't even get a first round pick for him if you trade him tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, I agree. He's maybe a second round pick from somebody like Jacksonville, somebody like that. But a contender is not going to give you even a 2, most likely, because they already have all they need there. And so, I mean, you might find an idiot like Jerry Jones to give him a 1 or a 2, because there's not enough wide receivers in Dallas. Clearly, that's their problem.
Yeah, of course.
They just need one more star wide receiver. Note the sarcasm. But anyway, so this Browns team, they're going to win 10 games. They'll probably get in the playoffs, although the AFC is really stacked this year. And they'll be a first round exit. And like you said, that'll be a victory for Browns fans, but it's, I don't know, maybe it's just something that is good enough for them right now. I don't know.
And yeah, I think it is good enough for them. If they keep doing this and in 3 years from now, this is kind of the same thing, then maybe it's a different conversation. But today, I think it's great for them.
There you go. Well, the Texans beat the Patriots. The only reason I'm really talking about this game is because this was one of our 2 hedge your bets this last week. And this is the one that you won. You called. I said the Patriots would win by 14 points. Clearly, I was out of my mind and overestimating this team yet again. So I'm officially done with the Patriots. The AFC is too difficult this year. They're not going to be a playoff team. No way, no how, no chance. Even if they run the table, 10 wins is not going to get them in. It's over.
I have to agree. I hate it, but I have to agree. I thought after last week, I thought maybe they're getting back on track. They had won a few games. I thought, okay, this is maybe they're kind of turning a corner, but this is clearly the same team.
Yeah, they're done. So you win that one. We'll go over the other hedge your bets pick later that I won. Not to brag or anything, but it was kind of the bigger, more important game. But no, we split the weekend, and that's fine. I mean, that's all you can ask
split,
for. That's all you can ask for. Colts, Packers. That was a good one. That was a great game. The Packers were leading by 2 touchdowns at halftime. I didn't feel good about the Colts at that point. I was thinking, why did I pick the Colts? They're once again, they're becoming the Colts.
Yep.
And the new Colts showed up, and they did it. I mean, they came back, they won the game. They didn't panic. And man, this team is a quarterback away from just being an absolute juggernaut.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know what to make of this Colts team, because they do beat teams they shouldn't beat. They shouldn't beat the Packers. The Packers shouldn't lose that game. And there's been several games like that this year. The Colts really shouldn't have won, and they won. So they've been surprising. That defense continues to be good and extremely underrated, and because of who their quarterback is. It kind of reminds me of Peyton Manning's last year, that really good defense, and Peyton did just enough and got to the Super Bowl. I don't think the Colts are going to do that, but it is similar in that respect.
It is a little bit similar. I think I'm higher on them than you, because in my mind, they're pretty much on the level of Green Bay. Obviously not at quarterback, but when you look at Green Bay and what they struggle with, the ways they have to win games. I mean, they're probably going to be 13-3 again this year, but you're still not taking them seriously because there's a handful of teams in the NFC that are going to beat them if they match up in the playoffs. So I expected the Colts to win. They did pull it out, but to me, this Colts team is good. I mean, they're right there. They really are. I mean, I don't think they're going to get there with Rivers, but
no.
They're going to be a playoff team, and it's going to be interesting to see them in Tennessee battle for this division. I didn't see that coming. I didn't think both of these teams would be sitting at 7-3 right now. I really didn't.
I didn't either.
So that's going to be fun to watch. And for Green Bay, it's not a big deal. Their division is not going to be a problem for them. They have a pretty easy schedule going forward. Like I said, they're still going to win 12 or 13 games. The thing that really hurts Green Bay in this case, though, is they needed to keep pace with New Orleans for that number 1 seed.
Yep.
And they didn't. And I think that's the only way the Packers have a prayer of getting to the Super Bowl is to get that number 1 seed. The way the Saints are playing, even with whoever at quarterback,
I can't wait to cover that game.
We're going to get there, and it was a really, really good game.
Yep.
For the Saints, of course, if you're a Saints fan, but. Well, we're going to see the Saints don't show any signs of slowing down. Let's go ahead and get into that game. The Saints rolled the Falcons. No issues there with Taysom Hill as their starter. Jameis didn't even see the field, so clearly we did not have the inside track on that. But the whole world thought Jameis Winston was going to be starting this game.
Yep. And look, and on paper, that made the most sense. He had the experience, he had the arm, he had all this going for him. And at the last second, they go with Taysom Hill. And Friday, I'm scratching my head like, what are you doing? And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm trying to see what he's got in Taysom Hill. If Hill is the incumbent to Drew Brees, then maybe that's the whole goal of this, is to see what you have. And if you've got a decision to make, maybe that is it. And I think I just didn't see this coming. I didn't. Hill, he's got an arm. He's got not a great arm, but it's a good arm, strong arm. He threw for 233 yards, no interceptions, didn't throw for any touchdowns, but he ran for 2. He looked good. He looked comfortable. He looked relaxed. He was not afraid. And it was a really good look for him. And that, to me, I've been saying this all week. There's 3 coaches in the league that can plug and play with quarterbacks. It doesn't matter who they are. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Bill Belichick. Plug any quarterback in that system, and they're gonna make it work.
I would actually remove Belichick from that list after what we've seen this year. But
he's got a bad team, though.
That has a lot to do with it as well. Right. But I mean, not to get off on that tangent, but me personally, I would have question marks with that. I think though, with Peyton and Andy, you're absolutely right. Peyton now 6-0 in the last 2 years with backup quarterbacks. Clearly, it's not an issue. I have a theory on this, and this is kind of what I thought about. I think we were overthinking the situation for the future. I think he needs to find a way to win 3 or 4 games now. And he figured the best thing to do against the Falcons, and probably over the next couple of games as well, one of which will be the Falcons again. I think he may throw Jameis into that game. I think his operation, his motive in this next month is to just win these games by keeping teams guessing, keeping them off balance.
Maybe.
And, I still think Jameis probably has a better chance of being the future. But right now, no one knew what to prepare for with Taysom Hill. And it really allowed Sean Payton to just show you that he is still amazing.
Payton and Hill was also the leading rusher. That was interesting.
Yeah, it really was.
The other thing I really liked is the different ways he ran the offense that we don't normally see, because Brees can't do what Hill can do at this age. But you saw a lot more motion in the offense. It confused the defense. The Falcons really didn't know what to defend all afternoon. And because with Hill, you have no idea if he's going to run or he's going to pass. He's got a good arm. He's proven he can pass the ball. So you really didn't know what you were going to look at play to play. I really like that. I like the different looks they showed. And I want to see more of that even when Brees comes back. From now on, when you put Hill back there, it should no longer be an automatic wildcat.
No.
You should let Hill air it out and let these teams be off balance.
Absolutely.
And that's what they haven't done.
But it was absolute best case for Saints fans. I mean, this team has won 7 in a row.
Yep.
If you ever thought it was going to be a letdown, we didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. We're playing a rival, even though it's a rival that we generally dominate. I mean, they took care of him with ease. 15-point victory. There's no reason to believe the Saints are going to lose the rest of the season. I just don't think they are. I think it's very good chance to go 14-2. They're going to get that 1 seed, maybe 13-3. But if they get it and Drew comes back healthy, this is a clear path. I mean, this is the year for them because the NFC is way down. I mean, they're way down. I mean, you look at the NFC, who's the threat to the Saints? Maybe the Packers. They did beat them before, but that was a different Saints team. And we know what this Packers team is. So I think the Saints, now I'm going to say the Rams can pose a real threat to the Saints. In my opinion, the Rams and the Saints are far and away the best 2 teams in the NFC at this point.
Well, the Saints, they have the Chiefs coming up. That's going to be, I want to see that game.
Oh, yeah.
I hope Brees is back for that game, but that is going to be the test for the Saints to see how they match up against that defense.
That's a tough game. And I would take the Chiefs even right now. But in getting to the Super Bowl, speaking of the Saints' path to the Super Bowl, I think it's really good look for them right now, though.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, they've clearly got the division locked up. And like you said, I think the number 1 seed is right within their reach.
So I wasn't really going to plan at all on talking about this game, but since my Cowboys won and most likely screwed up their top 3 draft pick. They played well. They played a lot better than I thought they would. They went into Minnesota. They won the game. And what can you say? I mean, they're still alive for the worst division in the history of football. And as a fan, I hope you can really, catch the joy and the excitement I have that we could be, like a 5-11 division winner and get destroyed in the first round, but by somebody like Tampa. But it could happen, So, if they screw around and win Wednesday, they're going to be in first place, which oddly enough would probably still give them a top 10 draft pick. So this is really weird. But at any rate, this was killer for the Vikings, who, as we discussed going in, had really no margin for error. This is just not a good place for the Vikings, and I did not see this coming at all. I thought the Vikings were going to roll them. I really did. I thought that Dalvin Cook was going to run for 1,000 yards on them. Not really, but you get my point.
Yeah, I thought trap game. We talked about this, and I thought Minnesota, because they pretty much got a win out, and I thought this game would be hard for them being in Dallas. Dallas coming off a bye. I had a feeling. I had a feeling like Dallas could win that game.
Well, you nailed it. And lately you've been better at me in nailing things, so maybe I should just start.
Which is surprising because you're really pretty good at that. So.
I mean, I used to be, but I mean, you said Baltimore was going to struggle this year, and I still remember when you said that on one of the first episodes, I almost laughed out loud. I was like, Baltimore struggle?
I know.
What are you talking about? Boy, you were right. I was wrong. So that's Sunday night game. Everybody was talking about it all week. Chiefs at Raiders. Revenge game for the Raiders taking the victory lap in Kansas City. We talked about this. I thought the Chiefs were going to blow them out of the building.
Me too.
I think most people did.
Yep.
And so I really, I figured I would sit down, I'd watch the first quarter, maybe the first half, and it would be, 30-13, and I would turn it off. That was an epic football game. The Raiders are for real. I've never been so impressed with a team in a loss in my life. They are almost as good as the Chiefs in pretty much every aspect, and maybe even a little better in some aspects. Gruden is, shortlist coach of the year for sure, maybe at the top right now.
Oh, he's got to be at the top.
That was the best game Derek Carr has ever played. That's the Derek Carr I knew existed. He's starting to show up more and more this year. That's why I'm so high on Derek Carr, because that's what he can do. He can go toe-to-toe with Pat Mahomes. Now, at the end of the game, I know I'm giving the losers too much credit, but really, I mean, the Chiefs edged them out. There was too much time left. But I mean, the Raiders could very easily have swept the Chiefs. And if the playoffs started today, the Chiefs would be the 2 seed and the Raiders would be the 7 seed, and they would play again in the playoffs. And I don't think Andy Reid wants to see this Raiders team again at all.
Right. No, I don't either. I mean, I thought, like you did, I thought the Chiefs would roll, and I didn't think we'd even be talking about this game because I didn't think it'd be relevant, and it was way more than relevant. I like seeing Derek Carr have success. Derek Carr is one of the good guys. He has been for a long time, and he just has never really gotten it figured out. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, this is still the Chiefs division. We knew it would be the Chiefs division. Even if they'd lost this game, they still were going to win this division. But their problem right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And until the Steelers lose, the Chiefs are going to have to play in the wild card round, which is really unfathomable.
But, yeah, that's insane to me. I can't even fathom them playing in the wild card round.
Yeah, I mean, they could literally finish 15-1 and have to play in the first week because now I don't think Pittsburgh is going to go undefeated, but they could. And if they do, they're still going to have that number 1 seed. So, but the Chiefs, I'm not worried about them. They're still the best team in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any doubt they're the best team in the league. The Raiders have been very good, but their record is only still 6-4, so they haven't been great. And we'll see what happens the rest of the way. I'm trying not to get too excited on them just yet.
I think the most encouraging thing about the Raiders for me is the wins they've had. They beat the Saints. They beat the Chiefs. They've beat some really good football teams. So I think if you're a Raiders fan today, you have to be thrilled about what the future holds.
I agree. I think they showed a lot of potential. Gruden clearly has not lost touch with the league like people feared, me included. He clearly has his hand in the know. He knows what's going on. They've nailed the draft thus far. People laughed at him when they traded Khalil Mack, and it's worked out. Everything he's done has worked out. He has built this offense up. He's got the defense going in the right direction. Gruden deserves a ton of credit.
He really does. I mean, like you said, he's got to be coach of the year at this point, and unless they just crumble the last month and a half of the season, which I don't see at all. I think if any team that is guaranteed more or less at this point to be a wild card could do some damage and win a playoff game, maybe even two, it would be this Raiders team. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see how things go.
And the other with the Raiders too is their GM doesn't get a lot of praise either, and the GM has been excellent.
Excellent. They've built such a good roster. That's why you watch that game, and they're as good as Kansas City. 98% as good.
Yeah,
pretty much every position except for quarterback, and they're close. I mean, they're closer than almost anyone else at quarterback. No one's as good at Kansas City as Kansas City is at quarterback. So.
Right. Now, what surprises me, or what I compare the Raiders to, is the San Francisco 49ers. The way it was built, and you brought in John Lynch, you brought in Kyle Shanahan, and the Raiders kind of the same thing. So I think they're very similar in that way.
Well, let's move on to last night's game, or Monday night's game, the Rams and the Bucks. And I had the Rams. I think I'm the only person alive that had the Rams, because everyone I talked to about this game, they were like, "Who do you like?" I'm like, "The Rams." They're like, "What?"
Yeah, I know.
I'll say it again. This Rams team is badass. They're good. They're very good. They're better now than they were the year they went to the Super Bowl. And I love them. I love everything about them. They have a pass rush. Their defense is sick. Their secondary is sick. They can run the ball. They do a good enough job of protecting Jared Goff. Sean McVay's brilliance shines through and makes Jared Goff look like a good quarterback, whether he is or not. You and I can debate until the sun comes up tomorrow, which we pretty much will Monday night, I believe. Yeah. But at any rate, Jared Goff is more than good enough to get this team where they want to go.
He is. I like McVay. I love Sean McVay. I think he's a very creative coach, and he might be in that same class I was talking about earlier with he can plug and play at quarterbacks. Like
yeah.
So you got to put him in a class. But I do not like golf. I just never bought into golf. And
well, then don't play it. Sorry, cheesy joke. I couldn't resist.
Jackass. I think the Rams are good. I don't know how good they are. The defense is certainly good. The defense is legit. They've got some playmakers. Cooper Kupp had a really strong game the other night.
Yeah, he did.
They need to figure out the run game. That's the one area they are not consistent in is the run game.
They definitely didn't run the ball enough Monday night, but I think the biggest issue with that is you can't run the ball very much on Tampa.
Right. No, I agree.
They knew that. So they've had a problem running the ball all season. So it wasn't just Tampa. They've struggled all season with that. But I mean, with your receiving core more than makes up. Yeah. And Robert Woods is a beast. He's always been one of my favorite players. I think they're going to be fine on that. And the reason they're fine, most teams do need that running game, but similarly to the way that New England for so many years under Brady more or less used the screen passing game and the schemes of short passing as a way to substitute for the run to an extent. The Rams do the same thing, and McVay sends you so much movement and so many things. You know, look over here while we do this, and we run this reverse, and we run this screen pass, and it's a 4-yard dump pass to Cooper Kupp, and the next thing you know, it's a 37-yard gain, and that really supplements when they have an issue running the ball.
Right.
So, like I said, I think they're clearly the second best team in my opinion at this point in the NFC. I know we've talked about the NFC being down this year and it's kind of a log jam, but when you look at the teams in the NFC that are more or less, top contenders, your Seattle, your Arizona, maybe until last week, your Green Bay, your New Orleans, your Tampa, the Rams and the Saints have the least flaws pretty much by a wide margin, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder with the Bucks, where do they go from here?
Oh, they are what they are, and this is what I feared going into the season. I mean, so many people had put them in the Super Bowl
Yeah,
before
that
the
was
season began.
ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
And I said, let's see how it goes. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a guy that spent 20 years in a system. And, you know, the older you get, the older I get, the more change is a little bit more difficult, right? That's nature, that's
Yeah,
life.
right.
So the idea that a 43-year-old quarterback could just step into a brand new system and not miss a beat, and at the end of the day, he's not the same quarterback he was. That was clear. His deterioration has been clear. It was very clear last year.
Yeah, it was.
It was clear the year before, and I know the year before they won the Super Bowl against the Rams. But that was the year that I think that was Pat Mahomes' first full year, and
Yeah,
they won that. The Patriots, they won that AFC Championship game in Kansas City only because of the offsides by the Chiefs. But even in that game, New England ran the ball all over the yard, and it wasn't because of Brady. I mean, if you look back at his decline over the last 3 or 4 years, this shouldn't surprise anyone. He played bad Monday night. He had the 2 picks, but other than that, he missed a bunch of deep shots. He skipped the ball into the ground. The defense for the Tampa Bay Bucks played a fantastic game. They took the ball away twice. They gave their team an opportunity to easily win that game. And it really wasn't as close as a score because of the defensive pass interference calls early against the Rams. And I just think that I think Tom Brady, I've been saying it all year, he's the weakest link on this team.
Look, I agree. I mean, I think that, the other thing is, I don't like Arians in Tampa. I don't think it's a good hire.
Oh, he and Brady are, to me, they're oil and water. Like, I saw that a mile away. I said, when I heard he was going to Tampa, I was like, well, are they getting rid of Arians? Because if not, that's going to be trouble. I mean,
Right.
You have Tom Brady, who is so rigid and so structured and such a creature of habit, and he needs a methodical, rhythmic passing game. And you have, no risk it, no biscuit Arians, who just likes to throw the ball 60 yards and let's see what happens.
Right.
And Arians is not calling. I don't know off the top of my head if he's calling plays or
He's not calling plays.
He's not calling plays. Okay.
No.
I didn't think he would, but at any rate, he's still the head coach. He can have a lot of input in the situation, but they're not playing. This would be like the Saints trying to ask Drew Brees to throw the ball 50 yards 8 times a game.
Yeah. No.
I mean, they're not playing to what Tom Brady is at 43.
No.
They're trying, and this has never been Tom Brady's game. He's never been 1 year he was, and that's when he had Randy Moss, who's one of the greatest receivers ever. But if you look at his career, he was never a throw it deep guy. He was a rhythmic passer. It was, crossing patterns. It was 15-yard out routes. It was death by 1,000 cuts, and they're not calling an offense anything like that.
No, they're not. And I don't know. I mean, if he's going to stay another year in Tampa, they're going to have to make some changes somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't see it being Arians. I mean, it should. I don't know if it should be, because I think he's a good coach overall. But
I do
again,
too. I just don't think he fits in Tampa.
No, the game to an extent has pretty much passed him by. I mean, when you compare him to Sean Payton, you compare him to Sean McVay, and you compare him to even Matt Nagy. I mean, these are young offensive minds who have evolved, and he's still kicking and screaming, slowly dragging along. I just think I don't know that he's the answer.
I have to agree. I like Arians to a point. Certainly not the answer in Tampa. I didn't understand the hire when they hired him last year. So I thought, he probably should have stayed retired. I didn't think that was a good hire. And certainly not a job I would have come back for, being retired.
And no, not a chance. Not a chance. So we'll see how it goes. I think Tampa is going to they're going to get the playoff. I still think they win 11 games. I think they finish 11-5, but they're going to be a playoff team. Just like we said before this game, it all depends on who they play. If they play a team with a pass rush, they're cooked.
Yep.
If they play a team without a pass rush, then good luck to that team because
Yes.
they'll blow them out. I
Yep.
mean, it's the weirdest team I've ever seen.
No, they
It
are
really
for
is.
sure. They are.
So we'll see. But let's look ahead to this week. Thanksgiving, we have somehow, we talked about this a little bit earlier, we have a battle for first place in a division. We have the mighty 3-7 Washington football game against the unstoppable 3-7 Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, 4:05 Eastern, Fox. Don't forget it. Does this matter? I mean, like as a fan, and I am a fan of one of these teams, but do the fans really, can they really look at you with a straight face and say, we are playing for the division?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't
really.
Anybody want to brag about winning that division this year?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if the Cowboys win, which I think they will, Thanksgiving, they're going to be 4-7, which obviously is better than 2-7. But
right,
now if they run the table in the unlikely event and they finish with a winning record, this is a different discussion. But we know that's not.
That's not going to happen. Yeah, and the frustration here continues to be the same frustration for me that it's been for the last 6 weeks. How do you not figure out how to incorporate Ezekiel Elliott in an offense?
Because that's not in Mike McCarthy's DNA.
But my God,
period. End of story. He didn't do it in Green Bay. They're not going to do it.
But
They're
Garrett was inconsistent with it too. Garrett would still be there if he would have run Zeke the way he should have.
Well, the way they used DeMarco Murray in 14 and 15 was the recipe for success. Now, I will tell you, the offensive line was in its prime. It was a whole different offensive line, obviously.
Yes.
Pretty much a different roster.
Yeah.
Because that was an eternity ago in the NFL. Yeah. But even then, that formula works. It works for a number of teams. And yes, more points are scored these days than ever before. And yes, there's a lot of offense and throwing the ball. But at the end of the day, defense and running the ball is still a path to success.
Yep. And they cannot figure out how to do either one. So
nope.
The Cowboys they're trapped in hell because it's not going to be better next year.
I think that McCarthy will adjust. I mean, I still think
I agree with
terrible.
that. I'm not saying he is,
but I think that they're going to be what they are. They're going to be not. I mean, they may win 10 games on a high end.
I don't know if they'll do that because I don't. They're locked into so many bad contracts right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. They are.
I don't know how you overcome that.
You really don't.
And Dak doesn't have near the team he had around him in his first couple of years.
Oh, no. I mean, he was born with a silver spoon.
Right.
He had the top offensive line. He had a serviceable defense. He had everything, custom ordered for him. He had the prime rookie Ezekiel Elliott at running back. He had Des Bryant. He was loaded. And now he gets to see what it's really like in the NFL when you have to deal with injuries and you have to deal with incompetence on defense and you have to deal with all this stuff. And the more I think about it, we always say, well, Dak's not a good enough player to overcome a dysfunctional team. Is anyone a good enough quarterback? We always say Russell Wilson is.
Mm-hmm.
But is he though? I mean, what has he won? What has he won since he lost the Legion of Boom defense? What has he really won? A playoff game, maybe 2?
Well, but they're not going to win that playoff game without him.
Well, no, they're not. But I could also make the argument that until Seattle builds a real team around him, they're not going to be a serious threat again. I mean, people are still saying they're a Super Bowl contender this year, whatever. I don't see that at all. Because there's a litany of other teams in the NFC that can score 45 on that defense the way it is. So, is it anybody? I mean, we can never know about Mahomes because he was born into a Dak type situation. Yeah. He has a great coach,
right?
A good offensive line, weapons everywhere.
And
now we saw them when their defense sucked. But then they got Spagnuolo and they got better, and now they have a good defense. So
they've got a genius front office that figured out how to sign Mahomes and still be able to put pieces around him.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm saying, let's really see if we can find a case of, hey, this is a 4-12 football team, but with this quarterback, they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know that we can find it.
Aaron Rodgers.
from 2010?
I'm not so sure of right now.
I see what you're saying, but they didn't win the Super Bowl. They didn't even get to the Super Bowl. They got to the AFC Championship and got throttled. But
the argument is a 4-12 football team bringing in a Aaron Rodgers, and that's it. How much better does he make you?
Oh, I agree. I mean, the Seahawks will always be relevant with Russell Wilson.
Right.
They'll always be division contenders. They'll win the division the majority of years. They'll make the divisional round the majority of years in the playoffs, and they may even sneak into a championship game. But are they going to win the Super Bowl? Are they a real Super Bowl threat? I don't know. So we say, well, this team's dysfunctional. Dak's not good enough to win them a Super Bowl on talent alone. But is anybody? You see what my point is?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, though. I think there's a handful not a handful, but there's certainly two or three I think they can. I think, Wilson for sure. Rodgers, I think. My third. The third one's hard. I thought about Roethlisberger, but I think he's past his prime.
So you're saying that you truly believe, or you could see a world in which the Seahawks team, for example, could go to the playoffs with its current defense and its current limited running game, and they could beat the Saints and the Rams in the NFC, and they could beat the Chiefs or Steelers in the Super Bowl? You believe that?
The Saints for sure, because the Saints defense does not show consistency week in and week out. So if they play the Saints on the right day, for sure. The Rams, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see them play the Rams. Who are the others?
Oh, yeah, any of the AFC powerhouses. Yeah. You can say, Pittsburgh. You could say even the Colts. I mean, somebody like the Colts would give Russell Wilson fits. I mean, he would still have a good game because he's Russell Wilson, but he has to do so much to make up for the defense and everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know how we got on Seattle, but the point I'm making is it still takes a village. It still takes a good roster to win it all. And you can have teams like Seattle, like Green Bay how they have been under Rodgers, with the exception of 2010 when they did win the Super Bowl. They make the playoffs the majority of years. But they were never really, you never really considered them a real Super Bowl contender. You get my point?
Right. I agree. I can see
so, I don't know what you do with this Cowboys team, but it's neither here nor there, because they're not even going to be a real playoff contender for years to come. So they may win the worst division in history of football, and congratulations, you're going to get your ass kicked in week 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, right.
So let's get into that Ravens Steelers Thanksgiving night. It's really the Ravens season on the line, in my opinion. Because they're competing with the loser of the South, which would either be Tennessee or the Colts. They're competing with the Browns. They're competing with the Dolphins or the Bills should the Dolphins win the East. They're competing with the Raiders. There are so many teams trying to get those wild card spots in the AFC that Baltimore's pretty much found themselves in a must-win situation.
Absolutely a must-win. And I don't know if they're going to win, to be honest with you. I like what Pittsburgh is doing. I think the line is 5.5. I don't know if I like Pittsburgh at 5.5, but I really do like this Pittsburgh team. I don't think they're going 16-0, but no. I think they can. I think they can win this game.
I do too. And when you look at the first matchup between these two teams, it was a game in which Baltimore outplayed Pittsburgh. They did more things right. They took the ball away, and somehow Pittsburgh still found a way to win. So, you're going to have Baltimore outplay the Steelers, and you're going to have them hang on to the game. They're in a tough spot, which is why I think that they can do it. Pittsburgh can lose this game and it's no big deal. But if the Ravens lose this game, then obviously the division is long gone, and that's really long gone already, but it'll literally be mathematically next to impossible at that point to be down 5 games with 5 to go.
Right.
So the Steelers could actually win this division really early on. And the thing that they're going to have to continue to fight for, of course, is that number 1 seed. And look, I think that's why the league did it this way, because teams that had the 1 or the 2 seed wrapped up, they started slacking off at the end of the season. Now you have a reason for these teams, even if they wrap their division up late November, early December, they still need to play hard because they want that one coveted bye.
Yep.
So I think it's a great move by the NFL. I think it's going to be really interesting playoffs, not to get too off topic here, but it's going to give Pittsburgh motivation to keep on winning because Kansas City's going to keep winning.
Yes, they are. Do you think Pittsburgh goes 16-0?
I don't have their schedule in front of me. Do you have it in front of you?
I had it. Let me pull it back up.
Yeah, let's go through it real quick. It'll only take a minute or two, and I'll give you my humble opinion on that for what it's worth.
I'm curious too. Let's see. All right, Ravens this week, and then they've got the Washington football team. That's a win. They've got Buffalo in December. That's going to be tough, at least. Bengals in Cincinnati. That's a win. They got the Colts at Indianapolis. No, I'm sorry, at Pittsburgh. That should be a win, I think.
Okay.
And then they finish with the Browns in Cleveland.
Well, even if they get to 15-0 and they wrap up the 1 seed by that point, going into that last game with Cleveland, they're still going to try to be a perfect team. So I see no path in which they stop playing hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're going to compete for all of these games. At Buffalo is tough, and at Indy is tough. I don't think there's any chance that they're going to go 16-0. I really don't. I think that they're going to probably lose one of those games, but I think 15-1 is almost a deadlock. I really think they're going to win 15 games.
I could see 15 games. If there's one game they're going to lose, I believe it or not, I think the Buffalo game is the game they would lose.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those are tough games. I think, now could they? I mean, sure. Would it surprise me?
Right.
Not really.
No.
But they have 2 tough games left, and 15-1 is my bet.
Yeah, I mean, we can assume they win tomorrow, and then I think Buffalo could be a trap game.
Buffalo could be an issue, and when you look at Kansas City to kind of compare the two, I want to say Kansas City's only real test left is the Saints. We'll see who the quarterback is. Is that game in Kansas City or New Orleans?
I'm looking. It's in New Orleans.
Okay, well, that's really good for the Saints. So that's going to be Kansas City's toughest test. I still like Kansas City to win that game. It's going to be close. It's going to be interesting to watch these two teams battle for that number 1 seed. It's going to be fantastic.
The Chiefs have Tampa on Sunday.
That's a win.
Yeah. Then they've got Denver at home.
Win.
They've got the Dolphins in Miami.
Oh,
that could be a good game. Yeah. Then they got the Saints right after that in New Orleans. Then they go to the Falcons. No, I'm sorry. Falcons come to them. And then they finish with the Chargers.
Okay. So they're a little tougher than I thought.
Yeah.
They have the Saints and the Dolphins and the Bucks.
Yep. And the Chargers aren't a give me.
And the Chargers aren't a give me. So I think they're going to lose one more game if I had to bet. They're either going to lose the New Orleans game. And in fact, they could even lose that Tampa game. It wouldn't surprise me the way Tampa's so up and down. So
yeah,
I think you're probably looking at 14-2 for Kansas City, and you're looking at 15-1 for Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh stays course and gets the number 1 seed. I really do.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh a lot, as you know. So I don't think that's a stretch to say that.
Now, it could easily happen where they lose both Buffalo and Indy, and it wouldn't change my opinion on them because those are 2 good teams that are probably going to be in the playoffs. So I don't think they'll lose them both, but even if they do, Kansas City gets the 1 seed, and then that's That's real tough for Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's
Yeah.
going to need that 1 seed to dethrone Kansas City. I really believe that.
Yeah,
I
I do
believe
too.
whoever out of those two gets the 1 seed is probably going to win the AFC.
Yeah, they're most in line for sure.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. Let's hit up a couple more games from this upcoming Week 12. Not as many marquee matchups as Week 11 featured, but still some good ones. The Titans and Colts are playing again for first place in that division. They played just a couple of weeks ago. Colts beat them pretty convincingly on Thursday Night Football. And that one was in Tennessee. This one's in Indianapolis. They're both 7-3. Which one of these teams do you think is going to end up the division winner?
I got to roll with Tennessee. I maybe I got too much stock in Tennessee, but I like what they're doing, and they're beating teams they shouldn't beat, and that's a sign of a really good football team. So
they're a good football team, and they're very well coached. And there's make no mistake, they can run the ball. Derrick Henry's a beast. The whole nine. We've talked about all that. They're having a better season than I thought they would have. I thought they would take a pretty big step back last year after that run to the AFC Championship, and they're on pace to win, more than the 9 games that I had thought they were going to win. So this is going to be a fun division to see how it ends. This division race here. The thing about it is, it's not going to matter too much this year because you have one number 1 seed,
Right.
so that's one bye. You have limited or no fans at all these games, so home field advantage is essentially gone. So if there's ever a year in which you just want to get in, you just want to get in the dance, you do not care who you're playing, where you're seated, you just want to get in, this is the year. So I think the AFC playoffs are going to be much more interesting than the NFC. The NFC, I really think you can just pencil the Saints and the Rams into the NFC Championship game. I really do. In the AFC, though, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Buffalo does, what Miami does if they get in. The Raiders have got to get in because they're dangerous. Cleveland, I expect nothing from, but either one of these two teams can do serious damage, as the Titans did last year. It's all going to depend on Phillip Rivers, what he can do. Will he not screw it up for the Titans? I'm sorry, for the Colts.
So here's the Titans' remaining schedule. This is almost laughable. They got the Colts.
Okay.
Then they have the Titans. Then they have the Browns in Tennessee. Then they have the Jaguars. They have the Lions. They have the Packers. And they have the Texans.
That's not that easy. I mean, the Packers.
Well,
is that one in Green Bay or in Tennessee?
Green Bay.
Okay, so they're going to.
They're going to beat Cleveland. They're going to beat Cleveland. I think they'll beat the Colts this week.
I'm not so sure they can beat Cleveland. I mean, they can, but I'm not so sure they will.
I think they will. I think because, like we said, I mean, Baker, they're winning games and Baker's just kind of out there. And
right. I mean, the Colts will have to beat Tennessee at their own game if they win that game. Right. I mean, which they're good at doing, by the way. They're good at running the ball and playing defense. That's how they're 7-3.
Yes, that's true.
So I think that's going to be like one of those really good, like 17-13 type games. I'm kind of looking forward to that. The old school fan in me is looking forward to that.
Maybe. I don't know. I think they beat Cleveland. I think they're going to beat Jacksonville.
Oh, of course.
They're going to beat Detroit. Probably lose to the Packers. Being in Green Bay in December, I don't like that at all.
I like them. I like them for at least 11-5. I mean, they lose 2 more games, they're going to finish 11-5.
Yeah.
So what do the Colts have? If you have that in front of you,
let me
just to see.
Yeah.
And then so you're picking the Titans to roll this division. I want to pick the Colts, but I want to hear their schedule first.
So after this week, they've got the Texans in Houston.
Okay.
They've got the Raiders in Vegas.
Ooh.
They've got Houston at Indy. They've got the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and they finish with Jacksonville.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough. The winner of this game coming up,
I agree,
is going to win this division. This is the path because I can't wait for Colts and Raiders. God, that's going to be a good ball game.
After seeing the schedules, I agree. The
winner of this game takes the division. most likely. But again, does it really matter? I mean, one of them's going to be a 3 seed, most likely. One of them's going to be a 6 seed, whatever, you know.
Tell you, but okay, we can talk about it. Doesn't really matter. But did anybody think it mattered when Tennessee got in last year?
No, it didn't. That's why. But that's my point. Is they were a 6 seed. Now there's going to be 7 seeds, but they were a team that had to go on the road, and they won 2 games, and they, more or less put up a fight in the AFC Championship. What now?
Yeah, almost went to the Super Bowl.
For sure.
So we can sit here and say it doesn't matter, but this team has a way of sneaking in and winning games you don't.
Oh no, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, as in neither one of these teams is going to be a threat. I think they can both be a threat.
Okay.
I'm saying it doesn't matter which one gets that home game in the first round of the playoffs, because obviously the one that doesn't win the division will be on the road in the first round and in every game. But it doesn't matter who wins the division. They can both be a threat, was my point.
I agree with that.
Phillip Rivers, I have trust issues with him, obviously. So I would still say Tennessee has a better shot of going deeper in the playoffs. But at the same time, I still think what they did last year was more or less lightning in a bottle, going that far into the playoffs. So I don't know.
Yes.
Winner of this game this week takes the division. There's my prediction.
Yep.
Not much of a prediction, but anyway. Let's get to the other couple of games next week that are more or less interesting. Chiefs at Bucks. This game, the only reason I think it may be interesting is the Bucks are a very up and down team. I don't know how much pressure the Chiefs can get on Tom Brady, which gives the Bucks a chance. Bouncing back after a loss. Tom Brady is good after a loss, even at this age. Do you think the Bucks have a realistic chance of winning this football game?
I do, because of the defense. The defense, I think, is better than Kansas City's defense.
No doubt. I mean, no doubt. Yeah.
Mahomes is clearly better than Brady. So that's not going to be much of a contest. Right. It's just going to be, it's going to come down to defense. What defense can make a stop, and, which offense can score. So, the line is 3.5. I think that's about right. In this game, I don't know how to pick against KC. And there's a couple of times I've wanted to.
Right.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, this is a game that I would still pick Kansas City. I wouldn't obviously put real money on them in this situation because it just doesn't feel right. You don't get a confidence. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me at all to see Tampa win this game. But it also wouldn't surprise me to see Kansas City win it by 2 touchdowns. So Tampa's defense is 100% legit. I mean, they're really, really good.
Yes.
So if they can give Tom and the offense enough opportunities, and if they don't screw him up like they did Monday night, then they have a really good shot. But if he comes out and you can't turn the ball over against Pat Mahomes because you can't give him any extra possessions, right?
Right.
So if he comes out and he throws 2 more picks or he does anything like that, this game is more than over. It's a rout. So Tampa's going to have to play perfect football, and their defense is going to have to take the ball away from Pat Mahomes, which they can do.
Would you care to take a guess at Mahomes' touchdown to interception ratio?
I know he has all of 2 picks now.
Right. It's so absurd.
And the last pick, Monday or Sunday night was only because the wrong route was ran by the receiver. Yeah. He was at 1 pick. And I want to say, what does he have, like 20-something touchdowns now?
27 touchdowns.
So 27 touchdowns, 2 picks. No one is mentioning him in the MVP discussion. He is clearly the MVP front runner. He will win the MVP. He will win his second MVP.
We say that, but Russell Wilson's never won an MVP. So
and he's not going to this year because now he's turning the ball over at will, which we never thought we'd see.
I know.
So that Aaron Rodgers has cooled off a bit. I still think Aaron Rodgers is probably the second option, if you will. Kyler Murray was he's not a flash in the pan. His idea of winning an MVP was a flash in the pan. It's too early for him. He's a year away. So I think once the dust settles, Mahomes is easily going to win another MVP and probably another one next year, and just for the rest of our lives to get used to it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Insane numbers.
Another thing that's interesting about him is I want to say, let's see, 10 times in his career, he's been down with the ball in his possession inside 2 minutes. The team has been losing. He's 9-1 in those 10 games. And the only game he lost in that situation was that 2018 AFC Championship game in which he brought them back, but they lost in overtime. So really, he should be 10-0. He should be perfect in that situation. And look, Sunday night, everyone in the universe, including Vegas, because the betting lines went up, the odds for the Chiefs to win went up after Witten scored that touchdown for Vegas, because the entire world knew that Pat Mahomes was going to win the game. I mean, it was just too much time. It was minute 47 or something crazy like that. He still left like 28 seconds on the clock just to play with them, and they still couldn't get it done. So,
right.
Anyway, he's going to win MVP, hands down. One more I want to kind of discuss, and I don't really think it's going to matter, but I still keep having hope that Philadelphia will finally show up. And
oh God, come on!
I do. I have a feeling that eventually they will play a good enough game. You know, every year they have these games where they knock off the Seattles or the Green Bays or teams they don't really have any business beating, or the Saints, those kind of teams. So the way Seattle has struggled as of late, even though they looked better last Thursday, I think this could be a game the Eagles could win. Am I out of my mind?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, look, okay, I'll give you this. Seattle is traveling cross country, and that you never know how those games are going to turn out. So could be onto something there. But on paper, I just don't see how in the world Philadelphia win this game. Incidentally, Carson Wentz is the very definition of average. 14 picks and 14 touchdowns.
Yes, he's not, as I said earlier, he's not having those games where he's like, wow, look how great there he goes. Look how great he is. Oh, there he goes. That's normally how his season goes. So I keep waiting for him to have that one game where you're like, wow, he does still have it. So this is the game he's going to have that. I'm calling it now. I don't know, what's going to happen. I don't know that they'll win, but I think he'll play better. I think it'll be a good game to watch. You're probably right, but no, it's crazy how they've really changed, and the longer this goes on, of course they always have injuries to deal with, but even with that, they typically fight, and they typically win some games they have no business winning. So that's why it's kind of odd to see them do that this season. But this game is really their best shot at a win over the next month, and that's kind of sad. So anyway, enough about the Eagles.
Now it's time for Top 7.
My top 7, I had to make a lot of changes to my top 7. Teams have really shown themselves last couple of weeks, and so I had to make a few changes there. So number 7, I got the Las Vegas Raiders. Even in a loss to Kansas City, they really could have won that game. They did win the first game between the two. The Raiders have been very good this year, much better than anybody thought they would be. Derek Carr is playing out of his mind, which is shocking to me and a lot of people. Bills, I still got the Bills at 6. I'm less enthused with the Bills than I was. I started off really high on the Bills. I think that they're still a really good team, and going into the winter, I think that gives the Bills an advantage, especially in home games. Buffalo is about the most frigid place to play, so I think you give them an advantage there at home. Titans at number 5, they're going to stay there. Tennessee, still very good, still has a clear path to the playoffs. And the division, I think, like we discussed earlier, if they win this week, I think they do win the division, and we'll see where they go from there. Number 4, the Rams. Have not had the Rams in the top 7 all year. Like what the Rams are doing. Do not love the quarterback, as we discussed, but the defense is certainly legit. They do have some playmakers, and you never count out Sean McVay. So Rams at number 4. Number 3, New Orleans Saints. I was completely wrong on the Saints. For all the credit I get for being right on Baltimore, I was completely wrong on the Saints. I thought they were a little better than a 10-6 team. I did not give this team much credit at all, and clearly I was out of my mind because this team is playing very well. The defense has come alive the last couple of weeks, and they have really shown out. So that was a big win with Taysom Hill. Even though it was Atlanta, that's still a good win for that team. Pittsburgh Steelers, number 2, or at number 2, I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh 10-0. I don't know what more you can say. I think their front 7 is better than the Chiefs, and I would love to just see them play the Chiefs. I just really love to see who the better team is out of the two. Number 1 is the Chiefs, and I expect them to stay at number 1. I did think about putting the Steelers at number 1, but I just, like I said earlier, I don't know how to pick against the Chiefs, and that goes with the top 7. I don't know how to move them down a spot when they really haven't lost.
Yeah, that's a good top 7, and mine is really similar near the top. Actually, I can't tell you how happy I am that you finally see the light for the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, the fact that the Rams made your top 7, it makes my day. The fact that they're number 4, like, that is awesome. I could cry. I could really cry. You know this? I'm not even a Rams fan. I just love the Rams. It started off, I just liked the Rams because I knew you didn't like the Rams, but then it was like, I really like this team. Yeah, I love McVay and all that. Anyway, number 7, I have the Miami Dolphins. Even though they lost to Denver, teams lose. I still like this team more than Buffalo. I still think they have a good shot to win this division. Dolphins at 7. Number 6, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. They're a really good football team. If you watched that game Sunday night, you saw a team that can hang with the best of them. They protect Carr. They play good enough defense. They can run the ball when they need to. Great things happening for the Raiders. Number 5, I have the Indianapolis Colts. I like them to beat the Titans this coming week, and I think they're going to win that division. That defense is nasty, and if Phillip Rivers can just do enough, they can be a threat in the playoffs. Number 4, Los Angeles Rams. What can you say? They beat Tampa. They beat Seattle and Tampa in back-to-back weeks. They're absolutely for real. Number 3, New Orleans Saints. Same thing I said before. This is a great team. This is the best team in the NFC. They're the front runners to get to the Super Bowl to me, and the only thing in their way may be the Los Angeles Rams. We'll see. Number 2, Pittsburgh Steelers. I know it's weird to put a 10-0 team at number 2, but when the number 1 team is the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, it's hard to move them down. Pittsburgh looks good. We'll see how they play against Baltimore on Thanksgiving night, and that'll tell the tale. I think that's one of their toughest games left. Number 1, of course, Kansas City. No reason to move them down. They won. They look great. They're at 1 loss, and I don't see them losing, but maybe one more game this year, if that. They still do everything right, and I still think they have an inside track to get back to the Super Bowl. So that's my top 7. Number 4 through number 1, the same for both of us. Great minds think alike, right?
Hey, yeah. I mean, that's pretty similar. I like it. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We're right in line, especially the top 3. So we'll see what happens the rest. I think it's really going to be an exciting finish to the season.
It is. It's set up for a fantastic finish, and going into the new playoff format, I cannot wait.
Yeah, that's and I heard the NFL, this is just they're trying out this new playoff format to see how they like it. So it may or may not be around next year.
Well, I don't think they're going to. I hope they don't change it. I mean, unless it just bombs. But I don't see how it can bomb because it's going to bring more excitement, more competition.
Maybe. I wish. I'm not really. I don't love only one team getting a bye in each division. I kind of like the way it was before. But, I mean, it does make it more exciting at the end of the year.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does. So tell me a little bit about what's going on in the rest of sports news.
Sports news. So we'll stay in the NFL. Let me get to that. We'll stay in the NFL for a minute. As we talked about earlier, you mentioned Miami in your top 7. Tough loss against the Broncos in Denver. Tua benched for Fitzpatrick. He will remain a starter, but do you have any concerns about Tua?
Not really. I think that I don't think it's a good thing that he was benched, but I think if anybody can handle that, it can be him. I think him and Fitz have some kind of really special bond, if you will, that allows them to understand that there's not really a competition there. You know, no one, everyone in the world knows it's Tua's team. So I think just in the moment they felt like he gave them the best chance to get back in the game. Of course, he threw the pick as he always does, or so often does. And I think that was like, oh yeah, that's why we put him on the bench. So I don't worry about it. I think they're going to be fine.
We'll see. I mean, he is still a rookie, and so he's going to make rookie mistakes. He's going to have those games that kind of make you pause. But I think Tua is okay. I think we saw in the first couple of games he's got a lot of talent, and if he can figure out how to use that and be consistent week to week, he's going to be fine. The worst thing I saw this weekend by far, Joe Burrow. Going down ACL,
that was brutal.
Tore ACL, tore MCL, and other structural damage, 9 to 12 month recovery. I put this out on Facebook yesterday, and I'm going to say the same thing to you.
I saw it.
I would not play another down in Cincinnati if they do not get him some help.
It's a tough thing. You can say this happened because of his protection, and it probably did. But this could also happen to, and it did happen to, not the same injury, but something, similar time-wise to Dak Prescott outside the pocket. It happened to Tom Brady in 2008. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, and he's not going to play. He's not going to play next year. I mean, I don't.
Oh, I think he will. He's a competitor.
If you're looking at 9 to 12 months, let's say it's 11 months. I mean, that's going to put him coming back in week 7, week 8. I mean, do you play a half a season knowing that your team is garbage? I don't know that you do.
I would not. I wouldn't. I would see what they do in the draft and see what they do to get pieces there. I would, and for the record, I don't expect Cincinnati to do anything. I expect them to stay just where they are, to do something in the draft that doesn't matter, because this is Cincinnati and this is who they are, and this is who they will continue to be as a franchise. I don't believe they know or appreciate what they have at the quarterback position. And if I was Burrow, I really would not go back there. I would wait, demand a trade, whatever you got to do, I'd get out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, we'll see. He doesn't strike me as that kind of guy.
He doesn't. No, me neither. And he's.
I think the second he's medically cleared, he'll be hitting that field.
I think, I have to agree. I mean, he's basically playing at home. He's from Ohio. He's an Ohio boy through and through. So, hard to imagine him doing that. But that's just what I would do in his position, is because this is going to happen again. They're not going to get him any help.
Yeah, it's a sad thing to see.
The organization sucks. So that's the NFL news. College football released their top 4 today. A little surprising. Number 4 is Ohio State, which I literally laughed out loud. That's ridiculous. But I'm not surprised. It's the media love for Ohio State. They're darlings in the media every year.
Ohio State could be like 0-10 and
still find a way.
And the college football talking heads would be like, they're really the best team.
Absurd.
I mean, a lot of the country doesn't see them play, but they could go toe to toe with Alabama.
They're insane.
And I'm like, okay. Anyway, they're number 4 because of course they are. Who's number 3?
Number 3 is Clemson. Number 2 is Notre Dame, and number 1, of course, is Alabama. I don't know how you put Clemson at number 3. I know they lost to Notre Dame, but they were playing with the backup quarterback. I think Clemson should be number 3 or number 2. I'm sorry. I wouldn't put Notre Dame in the top 4. I would not at all. We've been down this road before. If this goes like this,
teams. Those were different teams.
If this continues, I'm telling you, if this goes like this,
they beat Clemson. I know it was against the backup, but they beat Clemson. That's the kind of team they're going to have to play in the finals.
And they're going to lose. They're going to lose in the first round. Notre Dame is a fraud. They're always a fraud.
Oh, I don't think they're still a fraud. I mean, just because of what they've done before, those are different players. And Brian Kelly is a really good coach, and he's got this team clicking on all cylinders.
I think I would put when somebody asked me earlier what my top four would be before this came out, and I said I would have Bama at number 1, Clemson number 2. I would have A&M at 3. No, I would have Florida at 3 and A&M at 4.
Well, that's just because you love the
Well,
SEC.
it's not. I know it looks like that, but it's really not. I mean, look, Clemson has to be a number 2 to me, and because until they give me a reason not to put them there, they're number 2.
You can't think that Florida and A&M are both better than Notre Dame right now this year.
I don't believe in anything Notre Dame ever does, ever.
See, that's the problem is you're not looking at it objectively this year. You're looking at it
because I've seen it. I've seen it so many times with Notre Dame. USC at least won. USC, if they were really good, 9 times out of 10, they won a championship.
The players that were on the Notre Dame team that you're referring to that got boat raced by Alabama 5 years ago are now like attorneys in, Biloxi or something, or, somewhere in Alabama as well. I mean, it's a new crop of talent and these kids are good.
I agree. They were good back then. They're just not that good. They're not a championship team. I don't believe. I think they're bounced in the first round.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll
see. So they're number 3 right now. So they'd actually play Clemson again.
Notre Dame's number 2 right now.
Oh, well, either way, the 2 would play the 3 and the 1 would play the 4. So they would rematch that game, but Sunshine would be back. So you have to like Clemson that time around.
Absolutely.
But it's not out of the realm of possibility Notre Dame could win that.
I don't think so at all. I just don't. I think if you put Notre Dame at 5, that's okay. I'd be okay with that. I don't see them being a playoff team at all.
Well, it'll move around a little bit. I mean, this is the first week of the official ranking.
You say that. I mean, Bama's going to stay at number 1. They're not losing.
Yeah. I mean,
Clemson, I don't think is going to lose. Their schedule is cake, just like it is every year. Ohio State is. I could spend 30 minutes railing Ohio State from being in the top 4, playing less games than anybody else. Absolutely absurd that they would put them in the top 4.
Well, it's just. This is why I like the NFL better. It's because college football is all about brand, and the NFL is too, to a point. But in the NFL, you play it out. You play the games. And I know the playoffs are a lot better than what we used to have, which was nothing. But at the same time, it's like it's still more or less based off of the rankings before the season even starts. And so it doesn't matter who does what. The same teams are going to get ranked high every year. And yeah, they're usually the best. But in this case, I mean, this ranking for Ohio State is simply based on reputation.
I mean, but they're playing less games than anybody else. I don't see how you can even justify them being in the top 4. And there's not like they're playing 1 less game. They're playing like 4 less games.
Right. So, well, I mean, I guess the committee truly believes that they're that good of a team.
Laughable.
And it is. This whole college season is laughable. They shouldn't even be playing.
I agree because look, the way that college football is doing the COVID thing is pathetic. Well,
it's that, but it's also the fact that once again you have no commissioner. You have no head making the decision for all the programs, and until you have some kind of structure and uniformity, you're going to have the same old crap where every conference does this many games and this many conference games and this and that. And it's a convoluted mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. So that's why I just don't like college football. I mean, I like it, but not compared to the NFL. So we'll see. I do like the playoffs though. I'll watch those games.
Yeah. No, those are always fun. Yeah, for sure.
Anything else going on?
Oh yeah. That's good for the college football. That's all I've got for now. Although LSU, good win against Arkansas. I got to say that because I did not think they'd pull that game out. Turned out to be a good game. It was a really good win for LSU considering the kind of year LSU has had and considering how bad this team is. That was
where they still have a football program.
Yeah, I know, right? That was a told somebody if that was last year, that's a really ugly win and I'd be concerned. But this was a very good win. True freshman. They were on the road in Arkansas. I like what they did Saturday, and I hope they can finish out like that because they gave me a lot of promise, a lot of things to look at, and gave you a way to think positive, go away thinking positive about how you finish the season with any luck. So we'll see. But it was better than when they played Auburn, which we're not going to talk about
For
again.
sure.
NBA news. DeMarcus Cousins going to the Rockets on a 1-year non-guaranteed deal. My question to you is, can he still play?
If he can stay healthy, he can.
That's the biggest question.
He's a really talented, or he was a really talented player.
I don't think he just never lived up to his potential. He had so much potential.
He did, and for a little while there, him and AD were pretty sick together in New Orleans. Yep. But he couldn't stay healthy, and of course, the rest is history. So he bounced around the league a bit, and we'll see what he does. I mean, I like the Rockets. I spent a lot of time in Texas and Houston, so oddly enough, I like Houston and the Mavericks pretty good. I don't really like the Spurs, but that's another story for another day. But I think Houston is going to have some really down years. I think Harden is going to figure a way out of there. And it may not even happen this offseason. It may be mid-season or the season after that. But I think their window is absolutely closed. But regarding this, I mean, it is what it is. I think he'll be okay. He's not a top 10, top 15 player.
No, I agree for sure. He's not. And I just still would have questions. He's been hurt so much. I think he's had two torn ACLs now. So I don't know. I have no idea if he can still play or not. That's the biggest question. If he can, we'll see. But I'm not excited about that sign necessarily. Lakers went out and signed Marc Gasol and got rid of JaVale McGee. Marc Gasol is a good signing for them. That's a good spot.
It's a great signing, man.
Question for you is: are they favorites in 2021?
Oh, they already were, and what Pelinka's done so far in this offseason has been brilliant. The Clippers needed to make a couple of other moves. They didn't really do much. The Lakers did more, and the Lakers, this signing is huge. I expect them to be the overwhelming favorites, and unless you see Harden end up going to Brooklyn, I think there's really no one that's going to be able to compete with this Lakers team. I think they run away with the championship next year.
I don't think Harden's going to Brooklyn unless Brooklyn gets rid of Kyrie Irving.
Well, me too. I mean, it would have to be some kind of 3-way team trade deal. Somebody would have to pull some magic out to get it done. But if KD wants it, as I said last show, if KD wants it bad enough, it'll happen. They'll find a way. They'll send picks. They'll send 2028 first round picks if they have to. They'll get it done. But it's the logistics of it. Can Houston get enough to let go of such a big time player? But a player nonetheless that has not had a lot of playoff success and that really needs help. And
then if you're Harden, if you go to Brooklyn, let's say all that works out and he winds up in Brooklyn, is he capable of passing the reins to Kevin Durant? Because Durant is clearly going to be your scorer.
Yes. I believe he is. I believe that James Harden has made over $500 million between basketball and endorsements thus far in his career. He's got more money than God. He's got all the accolades. He wants to win a championship. And I think if that means that instead of pulling in 41 a night, he pulls in 31 a night and defers to KD in the biggest moments, I think he's more than fine with that.
Tell you what, I can't wait to watch KD play again. I'm excited for that.
Oh, me too. He's a great player.
I missed him last year, and
a lot of his pettiness kind of sometimes gets in the way of how great he is. His whole social media ghost accounts and all that crap that came out. But he is such a good player. Outside of LeBron, he's the second best player in the league, and pretty soon, if not already, he's better just based on age. So we'll see how he comes back from the injury. But I can't wait to watch him play basketball again.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And then moving on to Pelicans, New Orleans Pelicans, hometown team here. They don't make a lot of trades, and they went out and they traded Drew Holiday to Milwaukee, part of a 4-team deal, which is not very common, with OKC and Denver. Pelicans got Steven Adams from OKC and Eric Bledsoe. I think that Pelicans making some moves here they don't normally make with Zion Williamson, who already had a good year. They just signed Brandon Ingram to a long-term extension today. This Pelicans team might make some noise.
They've got a decent roster. Is it as good as some of the top rosters? No, but these are good players. And so I expect them to be a playoff team this year. I think Zion can take that next step if he can stay healthy. And for Milwaukee, I think getting Drew Holiday to help out Giannis is big. Does it put them over the hump? No, it doesn't. They need another piece still. But it's something in which they can build on, and it lets you know that Giannis is probably going to stay in Milwaukee for the foreseeable future.
I don't think so. I think Giannis is gone after next year.
We'll see.
It's going to be going to be interesting to talk about, but
for sure,
it'll be a story this year to see how they do. But the Pelicans get Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, first round picks in 25 and 2027. So we'll see what they do with that.
It's a good future building trade for the Pelicans.
Absolutely.
They get a couple of good players. Steven Adams is a good player. And of course, like you said, they already have Zion. So it's a good move to set the team up for
they've done a really good job at building for the future in the last couple of years. They've got a new coach now, and we're going to see what they do there. But I'm excited. The front office actually looks functional. They look like they're going to spending a little bit of money and getting some players in there that can actually play. And I'm excited to see Zion develop more too. He looked really good last year before everything happened with the pandemic. So I want to see what he does in year 2, certainly. But I'm excited to see this New Orleans team play. And that's the first time I can say that about the Pelicans in quite a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
OKC, it gets George Hill in this trade. They get Josh Gray in this trade and Kenrich Williams in this trade also. Zylan Cheatham and Darius Miller, and they get protected first-round picks in 2023. Gotcha. And then Denver got RJ Hampton. So Denver wasn't a huge part of this deal, but they were involved.
There you go.
I think the Pelicans won that trade by a long shot. I love the Pelicans.
I do too.
And that's surprisingly, that's a lot of NBA news for this time of year.
That is a lot of NBA news. I mean, it's starting up in a month.
And everything's kind of happening at one time because free agency is going on and the season starts in a month, and usually that's not the case. So,
right, the window is shrunk,
and there's going to be more NBA news to come, I'm sure, within the next month. But
for sure.
Moving to Major League Baseball, got a big story there. Mets second baseman Robinson Cano suspended for the entire 2021 season after a second violation of PEDs. What do you think of that? Two ways to look at that for me. I don't think it really affects the Mets. Cano's kind of a shell of what he once was.
Right.
I think Major League Baseball is a little too strict with the PED violation rules.
Yes.
I understand you're trying to get it out and you're trying to have set a precedent there, but missing an entire season seems very over the hit.
It's a little
steep.
Yes,
it's overkill.
It's a little steep because what they consider performance enhancing is not necessarily steroids, and it's not necessarily what everyone got busted for in the 90s.
Right. And
it can be something as simple as CBD cream or something like that. Or a powder supplement, diet supplement. There's a lot of things they don't allow that most people would never think twice about taking. So, they're too strict and they're trying to go the other way. I get it. Tarnished reputation, the whole 9 yards, but it's too much. It's ridiculous.
And this is why Major League Baseball continues to lose a fan base because makes stupid things like this. It makes no sense.
Absolutely.
They'll never get it. There's too many old people in baseball that are so stuck in the way it was 100 years ago. Yeah. And the commissioner is the same way. So this is never going to change.
Nope.
They could be so much better than what they are, but this is not surprising for Major League Baseball. And this is a second violation. A third violation, you're out of the league. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely stupidity. But well, that's for another day. I will round it out by this topic that I did not think I'd ever talk about again. Boxing news: Mike Tyson back in the ring this weekend against Roy Jones Jr.
Of course he is.
Yeah, look,
he's still in his prime.
have you seen?
Did you see those pictures?
Yes, he looks like he's
Dude
30.
is jacked.
He's absolutely jacked.
It's insane.
And Roy Jones looked good too, but Tyson looks like a monster.
It's crazy.
He would still kill me. So,
he'd kill you. He'd kill me or you, and as long as he has a pulse.
It's unbelievable. If you hadn't seen a picture of Tyson, you gotta go look at it because he's how old is he? He's like 60. I mean,
I think he's 50s, but he's old.
Yeah,
I mean, he's way too old.
No business to be in a boxing ring. But I fully expect him to knock out Roy Jones Jr.
Oh yeah,
and it's going to be the biggest story over the weekend if that happens.
There you go. There you go.
But that's going to be something to see. Just Tyson, a guy.
And you can't say we never covered boxing.
And I wish we were able to cover boxing in Tyson's prime because my God.
Oh,
what?
Wow.
How special was that?
Yes, it was.
It was the bygone era, but my
Absolutely.
God, it was something else to see. But that's all I got in the news. Do you have anything else in news?
I don't. I think you covered everything. Going to be interesting to see how, like we said, how the rest of the NFL season goes. I'm excited to have the NBA starting a month from now. I know the players aren't specifically the ones that played through it all to the championship. I mean, I think I saw where LeBron and them are going to get like 7 or 8 total weeks off between the end of the finals and the beginning of the season. So maybe it was even 6 weeks, but it has to be closer to 8. I don't know. But anyway, so that's kind of rough. I mean, I guess the positive is you got an extra 4.5-5 months off in the middle of the season last year, so you deal with it. But
I don't think that we'll see how it goes. I don't think you're going to see LeBron and these guys play a lot at the beginning. You probably won't start seeing them play regular until February.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. And look, this is perfect for me because the NBA season is too long as it is. And honestly, they're going to have 72 games, I believe, 71, 72. They should have had 60 and call it a day. And that should be the way it is from now on. But they didn't. But, Christmas is always when it becomes watchable, right? I mean, it's such a long season. It's 8 months, starts in October. That's too early. No one cares until after Christmas. And so this kind of kicks you right into that. So it's going to be,
and really no one cares even Christmas because the NFL is just starting playoffs.
That's true. I mean, really the NFL has to end before NBA really gets some attention. And so we'll see, but I expect the Lakers to repeat. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, barring an injury to some key piece like AD, LeBron, that kind of thing. But it's going to be interesting to see. That's all I got. Good show. Good show. And, anything else you want to cover? No, I think I'm good. Hopefully we'll get a show in this weekend and at least cover the Thursday games. But if not, we'll be back at it early part of next week. But, yes, sir. Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in every week. And we're really trying to be more consistent. But, it's been one thing after another here lately, and life gets in the way, unfortunately. There you go. So, happy Thanksgiving from me as well. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends about us if you like us. If you hate us, then just, forget you ever heard it. But if you do like us, please tell other people about it. That's how we can get more listens and bring you more content. So have a great holiday season, great weekend, and we'll be back with you Sunday or Monday. Thanks. And that's going to do it for us for this episode of Bending the Bracket. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to follow our latest content. You can also find us on Facebook or Twitter @Bending Sports. Have a great day.